530 horsepower, 1,300 kilogram Trans Am monsters. The Turtle Wax Trans Am Series has been a revelation since it was introduced into Australia a couple of years ago, and the product every time is outstanding. Qualifying yesterday, you heard from Tim Brook, and a big margin over Nathan Hearn, who leads the points coming into this weekend. Good qualifying performance from Ben Grice, John McCorkindale, personal best from him. Owen Kelly off the third row alongside Nash Morris. Kyle Girton has been a perennial performer all season. Elliot Barber outside the top 10 and Jet Johnson 13th, but he's made progress in every race this year, Jet Johnson. He chips away at it over the course of the weekend.
That's his first time ever racing a car here at Bathurst as well, with the pressure of the Johnson surname as well. He's got some good support from Napa Auto Parts, which has signed a multi-year deal with that team. So expect big things from him on the 7th row. So they've formed behind the back of our safety car. Hopefully won't see too much of that during this 9-lap journey. And 25 cars featuring no less than 12 rookies. And we welcome James Simpson into the field too. So another second-generation driver. His dad Michael raced here many years ago in a development series or Super 2 competition. But now we get set to square off the calm before the storm. Race number 1 of Turtle Wax Trans Am. Tim Brook, who's in a really sweet spot with this wall racing entry, and Nathan Hearn, who last time had the Dodge. That's now in the museum to the left-hand side of that shot. He's back to defend the crown in 2022 as they come up to start race number 1 here at Mount Panorama, and we are underway.
7 points between them in the championship. Hearn and Brook. The Valvoline car commits to going around the outside at Hill Corner. 25 cars funnel their way through. That was McCorkindale, who's dropped a bit of ground. He ran the wheel off on that exit curb. These two will go side by side over the hump. The revs will flare as they get light over the crest and plunge down past the winery and up the hill into Griffin's Bend. Tim Brook giving no quarter, but the championship leader and defending champions got the right of way through there. He'll lead them up the hill for the first time. Grice has got to third. There's early dramas. That's the Mountain Straight Gate. One car out of the race early. Didn't quite catch who it was. Owen Kelly going up the inside of McCorkindale into the Worth cutting. Very difficult to go side by side there. Racing room given though. The dial before your pit car drops the spot. Okay, up to P4.
A bit early for a game of chicken, isn't it, on lap number 1? It was Cody Burchard that's pulled out of the racing car number 36, so didn't get too far up Mountain Straight before his race number 1 was out of the way. But that was an impressive bit of driving between Hearn and Brook on the way up to Griffin's for the first time. They plunge over Brock's Skyline and down into the S's into the Super Cheap Auto Dipper on lap number 1. Grice in the 3rd position. Owen Kelly 4th. McCorkindale down to 5th position. Nash Morris, Brett Holdsworth, Kyle Girton, Nick Carroll, Elliot Barber is the top 10 in the very early stages.
For a guy who's been at the pointy end of the field all season long, Ben Grice has only got the one top 3 race finish to his credit. It's been brutally unlucky at times for this guy in the All-American Auto Parts 03, running the tribute livery to the NASCAR that his legendary father ran at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the States. Look at the leaders going at it. He's got the box seat view. Tim Brook was in the tow of Nathan Hearn, who's having to defend. This is brilliant view from Ben Grice, and he'll be hoping that the two guys that lead the way in the championship carve each other enough that the 03 can get into this. But good slipstream effect for Tim Brook. He towed his way up to the back of Nathan Hearn, and that will be all learning over the course of the race for the Painter Dixon driver. He'll file that one away. Okay, I know if I come out of the Ford Ranger elbow 5 car lengths behind, by the time I get to the kink at the chase, I'm going to be locked under the rear wing. He'll put that in the memory bank and learn for the remaining 8 laps.
It's a never-ending game of research, isn't it? There's Jet Johnson on Kyle Girton. Eden Thornborough just behind. He was part of GRM's Combine program earlier this year and learnt a lot from that event, so much so he took the setup from that car to put into his, but went backwards. By the time they got back to the final race, he dialed his 2021 setup back into the car and got a much better result. But having a great day out so far. They're in 13th position as we climb through sideways. That's Trans Am. I shouldn't get too excited. It's only lap number 2. Calm down, Nolte.
We went and spoke to Nathan Hearn after he did the demo lap at Phillip Island at the last round with the Speed Series and the Shannon's Motorsport Australia Nationals. Mark Crutcher, he has had a shocking run lately. His Phillip Island weekend was terrible in the big car number 4, and he rolls down into pit lane here at Mount Panorama. To finish my point, we were talking to Nathan Hearn and we said, mate, that lap you narrated was very sideways. Was that putting on a bit of a show for the camera, you know, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And it was like, no, that's how you drive the cars. They're sideways everywhere you go.
It just looked particularly sideways.
It was very sideways, to be fair.
I sometimes wonder whether we get too excited about the laps because you interview them afterwards and they go, yeah, it was all right.
That's how they work, isn't it? It's just great. It's a fantastic category. Lap 2 of 9 at Mount Panorama. Rusty's got some updates from the lane.
Just on Dalton Ellery, he's a non-starter for this one. That's because of gearbox dramas, we believe, with that car. But the Ellery family will very much be in action for the qualifying for the High-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour this afternoon. And interestingly, too, caught up with Owen Kelly, Dwayne Priest and Christian Kelly, who were all hands on deck on that car last night. They have upended the setup in the Fujitsu entry. It's a new car this year, still getting to know it. They felt like they were on the back foot yesterday, but he's made a good start to this one.
Thanks, Rusty. The Ellery's very competitive in practice for the High-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. This is a feisty little battle pack. Nick Carroll gets into the back of Brett Holdsworth, and Brett's getting into the back of the super cheap car of Nash Morris. Now, these two had a little run-in in qualifying yesterday as Brett goes down the inside. It was a late decision to go. The Breeze air conditioning entry didn't quite commit hard enough, really, to get down the inside. Brett obstructed. He was accused of obstructing and was penalised, Nash Morris, in qualifying, and he got a 2-group position penalty. I was walking out of the circuit last night with Brett, and he said, do you know what, I probably did slow him down. I don't think punishment fit the crime, but I'll cop it, we'll move on with life and go motor racing. But they're locked together on the racetrack. This is a good battle, though. Pioneer car is working its way into this as well. It's
Elliot Barber on the outside, who might just get the door shut in his Pioneer DJ entry. We missed him at Phillip Island, didn't get a chance to get the car sorted for that weekend, but he's back at Mount Panorama for round 3. We're at the halfway mark of this year's Trico Trans Am Series. Brett Holdsworth's first run up here in the Trans Am category as well. He's got some numbers right around him in 8th position. Barber and Dalton. We've got Girton, Johnson, Thornborough, Harris, Chris Pappas back in 15th spot, Jackson Rice, Hugh McAllister running back in 17th position right now. I said to him yesterday, is everything okay with the car? He goes, yeah, it's just everyone's gotten better, except me.
Yeah, they move on pretty quickly, and it's still a relatively new category, so they're still unlocking secrets in the cars and working out the development path and the setup options they've got to make the cars go faster. Impressive lap times in qualifying, a 2-minute 10.3 for pole position, which is under the race lap record currently held by Aaron Seaton. That was set in the early hours of Sunday morning in last year's High-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour event in a frankly phenomenal fight that he and Nathan Hearn had. They were wheel to wheel for the entire race distance. Hugely competitive fight, and Aaron set the lap record there at a 10.5. I reckon the race tomorrow, the third and final race of the weekend, that could be the magic number where we see that lap record tumble. Stubbsy?
Here with Mark Crutcher, who's just had to see his car be towed up the lane. Mark, you had a great round here last year at the 1000. Not a great start. What happened?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Last year was fantastic, and this car was going really well. We just lost drive coming down there the elbow. So I had no drive at all. I think it's the gearbox, but I'm not 100% sure. Luckily, I had enough momentum to get all the way back and didn't disrupt the race.
And it's not over for you. Straight back into a Pulsar now, too.
Yeah, I'm about to go up and get in with the mates in the Pulsar. It should be fun. I think there's 37 Pulsars. Have the ball. It's all good. We're at the mountain.
Another race to go today as well in Trans Am. All the best.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Not an exaggerated number, by the way. 37 Pulsars are on the program here today on Stan Sport. So Crutcher will suit up again in that category as well as the Trans Ams. Their second race to come up later today. To finish off your point, tomorrow's race, yes, absolutely. It's going to be probably the best one of the weekend. It's 11 laps, 2 laps longer than today.
Brett Holdsworth continuing to fight with Nick Carroll. They were wheel to wheel up Mountain Straight. Took a little bit of the side draft effect in these cars where you try and unsettle the air over the rear wing of the car in front, draw yourself alongside, and it doesn't necessarily speed you up, but it slows the car alongside you down a little bit as Carroll slides his way out of Reed Park. Nick Carroll had an absolute chocker at Phillip Island, but he was one of the fastest guys, and it was just so frustrating for him. He's been one of the quickest guys in the paddock. The teams are enjoying themselves watching from pit lane. Let's go back and have a look at the start. Great arm wrestle between these two. I'd love the respect shown, though. There was a little bit of contact, perhaps, maybe just there almost. But, you know, they gave each other racing room just enough. They fought it out, elbows out, Trans Am at its absolute best.
This was the part for me when they went up. And that was the issue for Bircher. He was slowing before they exited Hell Corner. This was from Ben Grice's entry, the All-American Driveline and Auto Parts entry. You're right, he had the best seat in the house. Look at the elbows up. That'd be you and me if we were cars.
It's you and I in the commentary box some of the times, isn't it? Let's be honest. But even there, with Hearn getting out over the curb, it can often unsettle the car. This from Kyle Girton.
This was on Brett Holdsworth, and Holdsworth parking him down the middle and making him go the long way around here. Oh, and he got on the grass and had to bowl a wide, and lucky to get away with that in the Nouveau entry, car number 2. So he dropped 2 or 3 positions in the process.
Amazing he got that stop. So Holdsworth was looking for a move. So this was that pass. So he was already grip limited there, going down the inside of Nash Morris. Just open up the attack from the 48 of Nick Carroll. Further back. Stock standard exit of the chase. That happens here. You get your braking wrong. Elevation change is quite significant there. It doesn't look like it through the TV pictures, but you're braking uphill and turning, and it's very easy to get the exit of the chase wrong. Drop some wheels off on the exit, and that's what happened to Simpson there in his 782 car. Triple-digit numbers, I rate that. Up to the Worth cutting they go. Tim Brooks just come back a little bit to Nathan Hearn in the last lap. 2 minute 12.2 last time around. Fastest lap of the race for car number 38. So as the race goes on, perhaps Tim Brooks has just managed the first half better with his Hoosier Control tyres that these cars run. They're a bag tyre, so cross-ply tyre, which is why the cars slide around a lot. So managing your tyre is very different to, say, Super Cheap Auto TCR with the radial slick tyre that the Michelin's that they run in that category. Ben Grice third, Owen Kelly and John McCorkindale out, rounding out the top 5. Some great names in this category as we go down to Greg Russ, but there's more great names watching on from pit lane.
There is, Richard, and with good reason too. Zach Bates looks like he's going to join the Trans Am field at the next round at Sydney Motorsport Park. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Just we were looking at the series and how good it is, like the racing and, you know, the cost effectiveness of it is just, parallel to, it's the best basically in Australia. So, and the speed of the cars really attracted me to, because as you move up through the ladder, the cars get quicker. So, to do that on a cost-effective platform is really cool.
Really cool, and doing some amazing things in the Toyota 86 series. We should point out his uncle's got a car, so that's pretty handy as well. But he's gone a different direction, guys. He hasn't gone the rally path like his cousins.
It's strange to see a Bates going circuit racing, Rusty. This is a big moment. Nick Carroll and Nash Morris got stuck into each other at the chase, and Holdsworth still trying to buy into this. He's in the right position to go down the inside. Mustang Camaro Challenger, so these are the 3 marks in Turtle Wax Trans Am going at it. This is a terrific fight.
Shows there's no advantage in any of the cars either. This is, to use your line, feisty, but I think there's a lot of feeling for race number 1 here today as Carroll finally gets a position for now. Holdsworth tucks in behind, but it's allowed Nash Morris to move ahead there in the Super Cheap Auto entry. In 6th position, it's Hearn, Brook, Grice and Kelly. Your top 4, McCorkindale, Morris. Then this battle for 7th and 8th position of Carroll and Holdsworth, then Dalton and Barber. Behind them is Girton, Johnson, Thornborough, Pappas, and John Harris back in 15th position to work lap 6 of 9.
So it actually started earlier than this because it was Morris getting down the inside of Carroll at the chase and removes one of the mirrors for Nick Carroll's benefit. No, you don't need those, it's all right. Not looking backwards in Trans Am, it's only about the car that's generally alongside you, correct. So that was the fight. Super Cheap car clears out. Excited about that sideways stuff, but as we touched on earlier, it's just what they do, but they're spectacular to watch coming out of Reed Park and then bottoming out through the metal grate, scraping the front splitter on the ground. So much attitude through McPhillamy, and then over to Brock's Skyline, and the world dips off beneath your feet. And while these may be simple cars and they're on a bag tyre like we talked about, and everyone's got the same thing, they're doing 12s. That is fast at Mount Panorama. They are not slow racing cars by any extent, correct.
It's a very busy 12 around here. When you just saw qualifying for TCR, they're much smoother around there than what these cars are. You certainly get a workout behind the wheel for these Trans Am cars, and Nash Morris is going to prove that, and so too is Nick Carroll. It's all a bit of a expression session going on here at the top of Solomon Park. It's such a great category. It's been around here for a few years, very popular in the United States, where they have fields of 40-plus cars race at events over there. And it really has taken off here in Australia in the last couple of years, so much so that they're Western Australian Series has been born with over a dozen cars, and there's more coming online. We've got young Brock Bowley in the field, who's thankful now the borders are open so he can come over and race his second start in the Trico Trans Am Series.
And you saw earlier in the broadcast our calendar for the rest of the year, and we finished the season here at Mount Panorama for the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International. Now, the whole idea of that event is to bring international competitors to Mount Panorama. Trans Am racing is enormous in the States, and this particular segment in Trans Am, there's 3 different tiers. This is the second tier in America. There's 60 cars running week in, week out in various corners of the United States. So how cool would it be to see some of our American mates come down and play at Mount Panorama and get their eyes open? Speaking of eyes open, we're riding with Kyle Girton, and we think you should probably crank your stereo up because we're going to ride for him for 6.2 kilometres of Australia's best bitumen. Battle for 10th and 11th. Kyle Girton chasing Elliot Barber for that position. This thing's only revved to just over 6,000 RPM, which gives them great longevity and that cost effectiveness. While we were riding on board with young Kyle, this was going on. Harris and Pappas down the inside at Murray's, just exchanging a little bit of paint. It's probably final wrap these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Down there, and that continued on the run up to Mountain Straight.
Jackson Rice coming in hot down at the hill corner section, and more happening at the top of the mountain now. He's squealing of losing tyres, and that was part 2 to the Harris and Pappas argument. Big burst of flame from the 88 machine as he gathered up and laid a couple of licorice straps down there as he returned to the race. And more happening this time for James Simpson, second off down here at the chase on the Turtle Wax replay here through the chase. So a lot going on here in the closing stages, of which there is 2 laps to go. We talk about Zach Bates coming into Trans Am. Of course, the news coming towards this weekend's round was we were going to have Shane Van Gisbergen in the field, but COVID protocols have put him out of the event, not just here, but also in the 6 hour as well. So we're excited to see how SVG would go out there. We wish him all the best on the recovery. But we did see an incredible video during the week of him doing a test run at Queensland. And, man, he looked right at home.
Didn't he? But I'm really excited to see Nathan Hearn versus Shane Van Gisbergen in this machinery.
Yep. In
Nathan Hearn's home turf. This is where he's really made a name for himself in Australian motor racing over the last couple of years. And you know, Shane's used the supercar stuff. We know he's good in anything he drives. He's amazing. He finished second in the recent round of the Australian Rally Championship. But a level playing field in terms of machinery with a guy that's been racing it solidly for 3 seasons now. That's an exciting prospect, and it's got the potential for some pretty wild motor racing. Can't wait. 2 drivers we know that aren't going to get their, or be afraid to get their elbows out. Jump back on board. That was Ben Grice. This battle continues. Morris and Holdsworth, 2 pretty famous surnames in Aussie motorsport. They're still going side by side. This time it's on pit straight and all the run up towards turn 1. Morris with the ideal line. Holdsworth with a little bit of track position advantage, but we get squeezed out on the exit. And Have to bide his time and try and find another way past young Matt Nash, who the more we see him, drives more and more like his old man every time.
And the more he's starting to sound like him as well.
Yes.
It's incredible. His confidence level is peaking right now, and with his Super 2 exploits as well, he's doing racing every other weekend around Australia and really starting to hit his straps. He goes a fraction wide through there. Brett Holdsworth having done a solid day out as well. Though he hasn't made any positions up in here, he's been in the top 10 in every single race this year.
The other driver worth singling out, grab the brake going into the Worth cutting there, and Holdsworth all over the back of the Super Cheap car. And give a shout out to John McCorkindale, who's had a shocker. Came across from Super 3 competition, V8 touring cars, where he was successful. Brief flirtation in Super 2. Budgets are so high, he wanted to find a cost-effective category. It was a really tough process to get up to speed in Trans Am, but finally it's all clicked.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's won in Porsche Sprint Challenge, he's won in Super 3 and V8 touring car. I'm pretty confident he'll be at the front of the field by the end of the season. Already top 5, 3 rounds in. Well done to the man from country New South Wales. He's got a new bub in the family at the moment. Very confident and happy with life, and the racing results starting to flow. What about flowing for this guy? This has been a really commanding drive. He saw off that early challenge from Tim Brook. He's built the margin to just under 2.5 seconds. 2 minute 12.1 is the fastest lap of the race as well. This is another comprehensive drive, Matt Nolte, from our championship leader.
He's won a race in every single round so far this year. He's had 10 victories in his career. This will be number 11. And Nathan Hearn, a Saturday afternoon cruise here at Mount Panorama, and wins race number 1 of Turtle Wax Trans Am by less than 2 seconds. Back to Tim Brook, who showed his hand earlier in the race, but will take the points there in second after grabbing the pole yesterday. Ben Grice will be home for 3rd position. And look at this battle down the bottom. Holdsworth and Morris, like a couple of flies on a summer's day, annoying each other.
Nash used the bumper bar a little bit there in Murray's, but it could end up on the wall in the National Motor Racing Museum at some point. Morris bumping a Holdsworth, but ultimately, so Brett got him on the final lap. That must have been at the top of the mountain. So Brett Holdsworth fights his way through to 7th. Entertaining stuff, as always, through the field in Turtle Wax Trans Am. Another win from Nathan Hearn. He extends his championship lead over Tim Brook. Ben Grice gets his 2nd top 3 finish of the year. Owen Kelly with a solid 4th, and McCorkindale a PB in 5th. Nick Carroll will be relieved just to finish without having a drama not of his own making. He gets home in the top 10. And it's worth pointing out that Jet Johnson worked his way to 10th position from 13th. So yet another drive where the 3rd generation of Bathurst royalty works his way into the top 10. And we saw, unfortunately, Dalton Ellery and failing to start, Coach Bircher, the man from Orange.
In Turtle Wax victory lane with our top 3 from the first race of the weekend in Trans Am, All-American Driveline entry. That you are the epitome of privateer. That's got to feel good, Ben.
Oh, it's pretty cool, man. Like, perfect weather, Bathurst. Like, where else would you want to be? I lost my way a little bit in the middle of that race, and had Owen Kelly breathing down my neck there. And I used to wag school to watch him race NASCAR on Monday morning, and mate, to be racing against him and covering and that sort of stuff at a track like this, what a privilege. And All-American Driveline Auto Parts on board, and hopefully the next one will be in front of the number 1 there.
Good luck.
Cheers.
There he is, 3rd place in that one. Got his famous dad, 2-time Bathurst winner here this weekend, and Alan Grice watching as well. 2nd place for you in that one. What's the report card?
Yeah, look, that was okay. Good to get the first one out of the way. So didn't have too much for Nate there. He did a ripper job. But yeah, the Painter Dixon Mustang's been going all right this weekend. So we'll tune it up for the next one and see how we go. So
have you. You're underselling it. I know you're playing big picture games here with the championship. Well done. And speaking of the title, well, this guy here has very, very fond memories of this place not even 12 months ago, December last year. Must feel good to come back and start the weekend with a win like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we've worked hard, GRM, to get this car against Brook. And it's good. It's been good this weekend. We know we're strong. We're at top of the mountain. I just knew I had to get him on the start because you can't pass on top of the mountain, as a lot of people do know. So, yeah, I mean, once I got to the front, I knew I just had to keep him behind me for the first couple of laps down the bottom here, and I could sort the rest of it out up top. So, yeah, thankful to Frenchie and Tom and all GRM boys for all the help, and Valvoline and GRM for giving me the car.
All the best for the next one.
Cheers. Thank you.
There he is, Nathan Hearn, Matt and Molly. He works on this car during the week. Unbelievable.